I was finally getting back to work and I heard the saying, keep an open mind. How, the statistics are, I think, I, if I have this correct, it's around 95% of our actions and behaviors are subconscious behaviors. So when we can shine light, shine illumination and awareness onto that, that brings it to our conscious mind. And I've always had this knowing that when you become aware of something, that's 50% of the battle. So 50% of the battle is becoming aware that there's even a problem. The rest is just putting in actions and aligning yourself with those actions and having the mental fortitude of understanding what the problem is and taking those steps to solving the problem, right? So programming can come in the form of sort of, which is what MK Ultra does, but which is also what trauma does. Whenever we're in a state of trauma, all of a sudden there's a dilation within our subconscious mind. So we can be programmed when we're in a place of flight or fight and there is a dilation that happens. So if you think about absorbing information as dilation and contraction, right? So keeping an open mind, there's a dilation within our subconscious mind to absorb that information. So the trauma creates this open mind that we absorb all of this information that gets processed through our physical body and through our nervous system. And that, I think, is connected to information overload and our nervous system becoming dysregulated when there's an abundance of information. But especially if it's coming at us through a place of trauma, that's where we're more easily programmed in that place. Then there's the that's the inversion, but then the upright, the shadow, or the light side of that is when we are able to shine light, or we're able to illuminate, or we're able to keep an open mind through a place of an expanded awareness, an expanded consciousness. We are able to absorb new information that doesn't hit our nervous system. It will feel calm. It will feel peaceful. It will feel it just is. And that is absorbed into us, and it hits us, or it lands on a different level, but it's reaching in through a much gentler process. And I think that's where healers, now the terminology of healers, for me, this is always my opinions, and please take or leave, whatever. These are just sort of my thoughts, but people who are considered healers, this is all tied together. People who are considered healers, it's not even about the tool. The tool is lovely. The tool can act as an amplifier for the broadcaster, but you are the broadcaster of that frequency, of that energy, right? So a healer does not need to lay hands on someone. A healer doesn't need to do Reiki or even need crystals or anything like that, because the healer is at the frequency and tuned into the radio station of that particular frequency that they have healed within themselves. So they've harmonized whatever that trauma was. So if there was, let's say, fear, sadness, heartache, then that healer that has healed that part of themselves would now be at that frequency. So every other soul that healer would interact with would now receive that broadcasting of that healed version of that frequency. And it also makes sense to me on a whole other level. There's a lot of there's knowing, and then there's the knowing, when things just go click, right? They click into place. So that also makes sense too, why if you are a healer, you act as a mirror for other people's shadow or subconscious behaviors and actions, and why it can cause such dissonance in others. That's when people can act out in their primal nature. So when we're acting out of a place of wounding, fear, and survival and trauma, that's when we're working in our lower animal nature. Now, I'm not insulting animals because I love animals, and we can learn so much about ourselves through the animal kingdom and their behaviors. Of how, and even how they heal too, right? So when we're in that place, it's sort of like poking the bear while it's sleeping, right? So when our nervous system hasn't fully integrated that healing frequency, if somebody comes around that has that healing frequency, it can actually poke the bear. Does that make sense? Right? And then create dissonance within that other soul. Other people who are searching on a conscious level or even a subconscious level, souls that are searching for the antidote from the person carrying the medicine, the healer, they will allow themselves to keep an open mind and absorb that energy and use that energy to heal whatever distorted frequencies there are within their own energetic bodies. And that, oh man, I knew this, and I'm not sure if I'm articulating this correctly. I'm going to keep thinking about this a little bit further, but this was just sort of what was popping into my mind about keeping an open mind. There's two different ways. There's being open-minded to the point where you're in a constant expansion state, kind of like the jellyfish analogy that I use, even where we're in this expanded state where we're absorbing so much information that we're like, I've got an open mind, but that means you're open to everything, and your energetic channels are so open that there's no walls, there's no boundaries, nor is there a closing down of that information in order for there to be an integration time. So when we take time to sort of close down and say, okay, that's enough information, I need to sit and reflect on this and integrate it and understand it, and ask myself reflective questions like, do I even want to accept this as my truth? And not allowing ourselves to just stay in that place of constant openness, but a place of open awareness and an expanded mind, but yet at the same time extracting that information and then closing it down and having healthy boundaries and analyzing that information of how it feels within you, period. And I think that's how listening to our gut and our intuition, it's all linked together, right? But if we're in a place of hypervigilance and we're in a place that our nervous system is totally dysregulated, then it's really hard for us to listen to our gut instincts and also maintain a open mind about things from a place of neutrality. So yeah, that's kind of like the visuals that I was getting around it. I'm going to refine this a little bit further. Anyways, I got to get back to work. These are just my thoughts for today. Okay, bye.